another video. Today, I'm going to be building my D-Day mock for RTW Films competition. And I have a couple parts that I've already made. In the next episode I'm going to be posting, I'm going to show how I made this, and then I'm going to work on the rest of this on this live stream. I might not finish it, so I'll probably have the video a little bit longer and more interesting, but I guess we'll get right on into it. I'm going to get on my other device. I'm not sure exactly how the stream will go. I didn't see RTH saying anything in the comments, which he's done recently. But might as well go and check. That would have been bad. Okay, and what I'm basically going to be doing is making a gradual cliff face that sort of slopes up. We're going to have a larger bunker that's sort of built into the rock. Then there's going to be a trench system to this smaller machine gun bunker, which I'm actually really proud of. I really like the design. But anyways, this is sort of a complicated build. I haven't really built this type of beach mock before, so it's going to be something new. Anyways, I'm not sure how the best way to actually angle all this is going to be, because you won't actually see like the front of what I'm building. I'm going to see if I can angle this any way that'll make it better. So just give me a second. I'm here, I just won't be active for a few minutes. Got it. Alright, I'm gonna put some of the stuff in a little bin that I have here, because I need to stay somewhat organized, even though some of these parts could be useful. Now I think that's probably a little bit better. Allows you to see the mock a little bit better, the part I'll be working on at the very least. I'm gonna bring this out so that you can at least see what's gonna be going in there. This is kind of a bad angle for a stream though, because you can't see the full mock. But trust me, I'm pretty happy with it right now. And I guess we'll just start with building the rest of this. So I'm going to start with this sort of cliff area. And again, you just want to add a couple of these pieces. Now I'm going to try to separate out this tan with a couple of parts, just that it'll look a little bit smoother, like a more brought together mock. I just need to find a couple of parts before I do any of that. So that can go in the middle there. And then just need some tan on the other side. And then that should be good. Now I think the tan is important because you don't want to see some of the ugly colors on the sides. Hello Mary Lewis and RTH. It's off to a pretty good start. Again, I'm sorry because you can't see most of the mock, but this is probably going to be the most interesting part anyways. So what I'm going to start with is some dark tan. And what I sort of want to do is I want to build up a steady base here. So it's going to start sort of like that. And then you could also just find a couple different parts. You want to make it interesting. I'm editing as we speak. Might not be very active in chat. Got it. I'm hoping this will be a pretty good day for a stream, because I got nothing else that I'm going to be doing today. But you never know with these. Alright, so I can probably use something like that in here somewhere, actually. I think that would look really cool. And, alright, I'm going to start, because this is sort of a weird, I wouldn't say angle, but weird sort of idea. I don't know what I'm even saying right now. Just sort of a lazy day around here. It's kind of hot outside, so I'm probably going to go outside, but this point it's just sort of miserable out there. Now I think I'm going to actually switch that part that I just put down there to a dark gray, because I feel like that would look pretty good. And then I'm actually just going to sort of start layering all this already, seeing how it'll look. This part's not going to be quite as high as the other one, but it's going to go decent height. Again, I just need a couple of parts that I can sort of get fitting in there. Something like that. And just another one right there. And right there. Then maybe another. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe something like that. That looks pretty good. I don't know. So my thinking is I'm going to have this guy sort of on top of that ridge, firing down on the allies that are landing. I'm not sure exactly what beachhead this would be, realistically, but I don't know. Hey Joey, welcome to the stream. Just working on a mock right now for a build D-Day, so I'm just sort of trying to possibly Queen Sector, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, of course, but just trying to get it to look like something at this point. I might do a sideways building technique on this part. I think that would look pretty cool. And yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do. So we're going to have the bunker in this area, then a trench system that runs behind that. Already at 3 likes, so thank you guys very much. Again, just working on this a little bit. I'm actually really happy with this design. You can see it's a lot of snot building, but you can fit it on pretty easily. Goes on top of bricks and pieces. And I think it's just a pretty smooth bunker shape. How do you get views? I don't know. It's just sort of something that, I know you've probably asked me this before, but it's not an easy question to answer. You just sort of need to try your hardest, and I know that you won't get views, but if you post consistently, you build up a fan base like I've tried to do here, then I think you'll get the attention that you deserve, sort of. So it's a hard question to answer, definitely. I'm just gonna be sifting through some pieces here, trying to find some. I'll have it going like that probably. So just trying to get some pieces in. And then just a couple more parts, and it should be good. So something like that. And then try to find some of these tan parts. Put that there. I don't think that quite looks the best, though. It doesn't quite add the variation that I'm looking for. So I'll do something like that. I think that actually looks really good. Of course, I could try to find a part to sort of ease that in. I think that looks pretty good. Now, what I do want to keep in mind is I want to make these transitions pretty smooth between the two sort of sides. So I might just use some filler plates. I get like 22 views a vid. Hoping Mock Monday will take me over 1K. Yeah. Hopefully. I do watch your stuff. It's pretty good. I just don't often comment. I try to like, though. Now, what I'm going to try to do is get a couple of parts in. Alright, I'm going to try to do something like that, and I actually think that looks really good. Just a little bit like high. I'm not sure how I like that. Let me try to ease that in a little. And put that in there. Doesn't exactly match, but it should be fine. And then I'm just working on this section over here. So that'll be interesting. Hopefully. Just gonna try to get some of these bricks in here that can cover up that area. Alright. Alright, and it doesn't exactly fit in there quite right, so I need to find a couple different parts. I'm gonna look real quick, try to find some. And I'm not, yeah, that's probably good enough. So I didn't quite have the right sort of height for this, but it's gonna go something like this. And it's just gonna, I need to find the right piece that can go in there. But that's gonna be up somewhere near there. And you know what I might actually do? I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna turn out, but I could just do like a 4 high and see how that would look, because I do want to put a bunker in here. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I just need like a couple more parts. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how this is gonna turn out. 5 likes on stream. We'll be back in a sec and schedule a video. Okay, nice. See ya. I'm sorry if I'm seeming a little bit tired today. It's just sort of a lazy day around here. Nothing much is happening. And to be quite frank, I am sort of tired. Alright, so I'm just gonna grab a couple of parts and fit them on in. And then just maybe a couple more of these parts to fit in. And I think that actually looks really good. I'm pretty happy with that. If I just work that up a little bit. Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing because you can't like see this. It's an awful angle that I have this at. This is like the worst angle that I could have for a stream. Hold up. I'm gonna try to position this a little bit better so that you guys can actually see what's going on. The problem is this mock is like so incredibly long. Alright, that's a little bit better. But that does mean I sort of have to work over this whole thing, which is sort of annoying to deal with, but I guess it's better than just blocking the whole thing. Okay, then I'm gonna try to find maybe one of those that can go like that. And again, it's just trying to build up some variation in these rock faces. But it's pretty simple when you get the hang of it. Just gotta find a couple more of these pieces and throw them in. I'll try to find it real quick in a second. Alright, that's not great. I'm going to try to fix that. Doesn't look quite right. Alright, I'm going to try to find a better fit for that section. Hopefully I can, if I do this right. Not entirely sure though. And I think that's a, oh crap, I just dropped that. I think that's a decent fit. Sort of goes there. Then just maybe one of those. And last but not least, I'll fit in a couple of these dark gray parts. If I can even find any of them. I think that should work. $16 viewers, 5 likes. Thank you guys so much. I think this angle is helping a little bit and keeping more people here, because that was a pretty bad angle. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I think, is probably... I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to change this piece here. Grayish piece, because that doesn't quite look right. Find something real quick. Yeah, found it. Consistently around 10 viewers, so that's really good. Thank you guys for joining. Nobody said anything in chat for a little while, but that doesn't really bother me. Sort of distracts me sometimes anyways. But I think that could go really well. Now I just need to figure out how I'm going to make this sort of bunker system. And also how I'm going to make this sort of backside look. But overall, I'm really happy with how this cliff face is looking. It's better than I was expecting. And I think it sort of accurately depicts some of the Normandy scenes. Now that does go over a little bit, which is sort of annoying. And I'm not sure how accurate it is to have this German down here. I could just make that like a crater and then have the Germans all on top of there, but I think it kind of looks cool, so I'll keep it there. Yeah, 5 likes already is really good, so thank you guys. Just gonna try to fit a couple more parts. And then probably just try to get a couple more pieces in, get it to look all nice. Okay, so there's sort of my problem, in that I don't think it's gonna quite fit right. Alright, I have a sort of idea that I can do here. So what I'm thinking is I could probably try to ease up to that, which I think could look cool. One second. Okay, so I'm going to try to fix this sort of angle that I have here. And I think that sort of ties up that rock face pretty nicely. And then maybe I could just add something to finish that off, but maybe something like that. Or not. That's not quite fitting. 1 second. I think that fits alright. So that finishes up the rock face. I think I got that looking pretty good. So now I just got to figure out how to make this bunker. Do I have anything like that? I have a piece that I think could fit there. I'm just not sure what colors I have that in. I'll have to make my own. What's up, RTH? Welcome back. Alright, and just gonna have to figure out something real quick, so just give me a second. And probably just one more part in there. And then there, it fits in decently. Now the problem is, crap, that's unfortunate because I gotta build it up a little bit more. Alright, well, that basically just solves my problem now, because I can just sort of do something like that and then put that there. It works, it's just not quite as satisfying to the eyes. And I can try to find a part that'll fit in there. Maybe a dark tan part. And that'll fit. Okay, nice. Now, everything is a mess. You gonna see it tomorrow? Probably. I'll probably try to keep an eye open. Now, I need to sort of turn this around a little bit because I need to see what I'm actually doing here. So, the side of this mock is gonna look a little bit crazy. So I'm gonna try to figure out how I can hide that, or if I can hide that, because it's sort of looking a little bit weird right now. But I'm not going to worry about that right now because I need to actually get to working on this. I think I just need to put it up one or two more. Then, finally, I just need to grab one of these parts. If I can even find it, that's really annoying. Don't have the part I was looking for. Well, that's alright. This is going to look like a mess. Okay, so now I'm going to try to find these parts that can go on the side. And it just needs to go up one higher. Hello, Russian name. Cannot pronounce that. I'm building a D-Day mock. Not sure if you get what I'm saying, but basically just the day the Allies invaded Germany. I'm just trying to get some parts in here and make it look all nice. To some effect. But I might have messed up here a little bit. I'm going to try to make this pillbox a little bit smaller. Make it seem like it's sort of less, I don't even know how to describe it. Sort of weirdly placed. Okay, so I just need to go down one more and place it down there. And then I just need to grab these parts, put them back down here. And then I sort of replicate that to the other side. And I think that looks pretty good if I can just sort of get that firing slot built. And that would be great. But it's going to go something like that. And I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. There are going to be a lot of angles of this. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to cover up all of them, make them look pleasing, but right now it's sort of just a mess. But that's how many of my good builds have started, so it'll be fine. Then just a part there, and one of those, so it can go like that. And I think I'm going to do the same on this one and just angle it inside so that it's hiding some of those rough edges. Oh boy. Yeah, the side angle of this is going to look pretty ridiculous, but I don't know. I'm trying my best. Give me your Legos. Did you see the bricks and minifigs controversy? Yeah, I did. I think the founder, like, one of the owners tried to rip off somebody of their collection. Is that right? Yeah, it was sort of crazy. I'm not like I went there once or twice, but I don't normally get from there, so I haven't really been keeping tabs on it. It was sort of a scummy thing to do, though. And then just get a couple of these. $200,000 worth, yeah. Real meanie. Okay, I'm gonna grab this, throw it down in. And I think that looks pretty good. Just trying to grab a couple of parts. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've built up this collection for a couple of years now. Started with just a couple of these like bodies and stuff like that, and then a lot of the more custom stuff, the more custom printed stuff I found online, but I got a lot of it from my local brick store. And we are at 7 likes, so thank you guys so much. This is probably the most likes I've had on a stream in a while. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish this on stream because we're about halfway through and I have a lot of plans for this, but I might try to make it seem like the side of this thing got damaged or something like that, because I think that would look cool. So something like that, sort of. And then carrying it on like that. Yeah, I think that creates a pretty cool effect. So now what you're going to want to do when you're building one of these, I don't know how this just turned into a tutorial, but I'm going to throw something like that on. And I think that's a pretty good bunker. Yeah, going back to that bricks and minifigs thing, because I sort of ignored you because I was trying to get this thing done. Yeah, it's sort of crazy how a company can do that to somebody. And that was a lot of money worth in Legos to just be scamming somebody out of. Now, anyways, I'm going to work on the side of this a little bit, so not quite as appealing to look at. If you want to do a job, do it right. Okay, so what I'm going to do over here is finish off this bunker. Now you probably want to look at the back, so I'm going to switch this angling around. because there's going to be a lot of work on the back section and making this look decent. It's going to be probably my biggest challenge of this, because I got a lot of cleaning up to do on these parts. Okay, I'm going to try to get some of these parts in here looking decent. Something like that, maybe, and try to find another cent piece or something. And something like that. And then you can go and just throw down a couple of parts in here. Doesn't have to be anything too crazy. Just make the bunker look decent. That's my goal here. And that works. Actually, I think that would work pretty well, because I need something that I can throw in there to make sure it doesn't look weird. Now, I'm going to have a door that's sort of going this way. I'm going to have a sort of buffer zone over where this area is. And I think it's going to look pretty decent by the time I'm finished with it. Okay, and just trying to grab a couple more parts in here. I'm going to try to tie this up, make it look half decent, if I can. And I think if I throw on another one of these pieces under there, that does sort of cover up all the imperfections, so it's pretty good. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. So we have the sort of craggy rock bunker that's in there, and I think that looks pretty good. And sort of just trying to figure this out as I'm going along, because this is sort of a weird sort of angle to work at. Okay, so that's decent. I'm going to probably work on this sort of door now. Oh, I didn't see that. A lot of stuff just got put in chat. AliExpress good for Legos? Most people say no. Yeah, I get it. I don't know. For me, it's probably a no. I'm not a big fan of fake Lego. I probably could try it. I could make that one of my videos, but I don't want to make it a big thing, because that's not what my channel is. And I have the money to spend on it, so why wouldn't I? Gonna grab a couple more of these parts. And I'm looking for a specific part, but I'm not actually able to find it, so it's sort of a shame. I think I'm gonna... that doesn't really look great. It's sort of my problem here. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get this looking a little bit better, because right now this isn't doing it for me. And we're gonna probably try to get all this sort of... probably put another layer of light gray on top of it, if I can find some parts that would fit. That's a little bit too big. Correct. Alright. That doesn't quite work the best, but it should work. And then I could probably actually put some of these angled pieces in, so I'm going to try to do that and make this look nice. Okay, doing something like that, and throwing down a couple of parts. I'm not sure exactly how this crap. I just dropped that. What am I doing? Alright, that's decent. Not great. Yes, it's D-Day. Sunday. Yeah, I might show you the whole thing because you're not getting a good view of it right now. But it's a pretty big mock. You have the start over there, and then we're sort of getting into the German defensive positions. So I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna look when it's finished, but I'm hoping it'll look half decent. It's my only goal. Crap, I have so many parts out right now. I just need to put some stuff down. Eight likes, so thank you guys so much for that. Again, probably the most I've gotten on a stream in a while, so appreciate it. And just need a couple of these gray carts to throw in. Unless I frickin' lost them or something. No, I'm all good. Thought I just lost those parts, and that would have been pretty bad. But it's alright. I didn't. And throw that in. And maybe one of those. And I think that's pretty good. I could try to get a couple more of these angled pieces in, but I think that's alright. Now I just need to work on this door, which I'm not too thrilled with. It's gonna look sort of weird no matter what I do. Could do something like that. I think that would look decent. It is sort of a short door, but I guess these bunkers weren't really known for luxury accommodations, so it's probably alright in this situation. And then just throwing in a couple more parts. Wait, I just had that part. Okay. No, that fits there. I'm losing it right now. I'm literally losing pieces. And I might do something with one of these. Sort of having that be like the dial that opens the bunker, maybe. And I think that looks pretty good. Now I just need to work on a sort of trench line, which is going to be a pretty hard part of this. gosh. Yeah, this is... I need to scrounge through some of my parts and find some, because this is sort of annoying to try to find all of them. That's not going to fit in. Now I just need to find a couple more of these parts. I actually just can use filler here for now. Ugh, yeah. This is going to look kind of bizarre from the sides, but that's alright. I might have to patch some of it up a little bit later. Alright, so we're going to have a decently wide sort of area over here. Need to find a part that'll fit in there. And maybe just throw a couple more parts on. And then that should be all good. Okay. So I think I might have this trench line running all the way down there. Now what I'm going to do instead to sort of fix this up is probably... Hold up. Before I finish that thought, I just saw a gap. I'm probably going to add some dark tan plates, that is, in this area. Okay, and something like that, and that. I'm just trying to fit in some of these parts where your eye best see fit. But I think that's pretty good. And then something like that. And I think that actually looks pretty good. Is the smart brick... Oh, crap. Hey, RTH, crap. I keep missing stuff. What's your favorite battle and favorite mock? Sorry. Favorite battle? I don't know. I think probably my favorite battle was the Battle of the Bulge. I've made multiple builds on it, and I feel like it's just sort of a pretty cool battle. And there are a lot of good films for it, like Band of Brothers. I am actually watching that right now again. I already watched it, but might as well watch it again because it was a really good movie. Really good show. Oh my gosh. What am I saying? Just making stuff up at this point. Alright. I'm going to try to work on the trench system in here. So that's going to be over here in this area. If I can even angle it to that area. Alright, just getting a couple of these filler bricks so that I can fill in the area right there. Now I'm actually pretty happy with this, so I'm going to lightly slope it up over here. I need to find a part that'll fit. So just give me a second. So I think that could probably work. Just need to figure out how this is all going to look. Alright. Now I'm going to work on some of these parts. Probably put that there. We're still at 8 likes. Nothing's been said in chat for a little while, but that's no biggie. Okay. Now we're gonna start building up some sort of, I don't know, not texture, but some, can't think of the word. Okay. Just gave up. I'm not even gonna try to think. Alright, so it's just gonna sort of get a little bit thinner as it reaches some of those areas. And then it's gonna get a little bit steeper over here, because it's gonna be sort of reaching up to the top of this bunker. And it's gonna sort of go over the top of that bunker. Okay, and then just throw down a couple more of these parts. Okay. I need to grab a couple more filler bricks because all that just sort of fell apart. And then just a couple more of these parts, throwing them in there. Okay, that should be all good. Just one of those up there. And then just a couple more of these parts. And I think that's pretty good. I am liking the sort of craggy rock face I'm able to create here. And then I just need a couple more of these parts. And I'm going to try to finish it off. Maybe something like that can go in there. I'm sort of guessing on some of this stuff. I'm not sure how most of this will turn out. And that's sort of the fun of it. You never know how it's going to turn out. You can kind of surprise yourself when you're building stuff like this. And I'm surprising myself right now, for better or worse. Okay, I need to figure out where this other trench line is going to be. So, let me grab a couple of parts and try to work that out. And I think that would have to be about here. And I'm going to work on some of this building. I'm going to grab the parts out if I can. Okay, I'm not able to get that piece out. You're approaching the last 10 minutes, so... Okay, this is so damn annoying. There we go. Okay. Good now. So now I'm going to try to find some of these parts and get them all nice and settled in. Okay. if you saw just how messed up this area has become, it's not that good. Okay. And I need to put that about right there. I'm going to put it up maybe a brick in height. And that would probably fit a little bit better. And I think that's probably about as good as I'm going to get it. I think that went up, but just to make sure I need to expand this area. So I'm going to grab a couple filler bricks again and try to build this up. Now, this is really rough construction on my part. It's sort of annoying to deal with, but when you get it out of the way, it all looks really cool, in my opinion. Alright, I might actually try to put a different part in there. So that's probably good if I can fit that stuff in. And finally maybe something like that. And then just a couple more parts. And something like that. Nothing new in chat for a little while now. Just gonna try to finish up this sort of building. Okay, so my problem is this section isn't connected, so I'm gonna try to get that connected up. And that sort of fixes the wobbliness that you were probably seeing. Okay, now I need to find some of these parts in here. Something like that. Maybe like that and that. So we have our sort of trench panel in there. I think that needs to go up one. So I need to grab a piece to put it up one. Or I could leave it like that. I feel like that still looks fine. And you probably hardly see it in the finished product. Yeah, that's probably good enough for me. Yeah, I'm gonna have to finish this off stream, definitely. But I think it still looks pretty good. And I'll do something like that. That's probably pretty good. I can do something sort of like that. Grab another part from this side. And that's probably pretty good. Alright, so that's pretty decent. I think it actually looks really good from the front. Not that you guys could see it or anything. But I'm very happy with how that's looking. Now I just need to work on this sort of rock face on the other side. Now what I could do is I could sort of expand this out over to this side so it's a sort of clear area. But I'm not sure whether I want to do that or not. Yeah, I'm probably going to end this pretty soon. But I'm going to work on this a lot tonight. Clear some random time that I have. Okay, hold up. I'm going to try to fix this sort of rock face in here. Doesn't exactly fix it, but I feel like it makes it look more jagged. Now, shoot, where did I put those minifigs? Okay, I put them up here. I'm going to try to sort of scale out some of these minifigs, see how they look. Now, he looks a little bit big next to the door, but that's probably fine. He'd have to, like, duck down to get in there. I think that's alright. So I might have this, like, officer standing right here. This guy might be trying to... You know, I'll have this soldier running through these parts of the trenches. And he can sort of be covering up... Oh my gosh, I'm covering up these parts that I'm trying to show you. I don't know what I'm doing. Alright. That's probably about it for today. I think I'm going to cut it short here. Try to get a breather, and then probably come back to this in a couple of hours. But overall, pretty good progress for today. I'm really happy with the front cliff face. And overall, I think it turned out pretty good. So,